we're on. And here's the clicker.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Paul Kramer, and I'm a member of the Classic Center Authority. And I just really want to thank each and every one of you for giving up your time to do this significant project. I know what a monumental task that is for you. I know how many projects there are out there, and it is bigger than it's ever been before. But at the end of the day, I know you have a unique opportunity to really do something great for this community and move us forward. And the reason I can say that with confidence is about 25 years ago, a group just like you assembled, and they had the courage to vote on the Classic Center. And as I now look at what the Classic Center has become, it's really amazing. Over 700 events each and every year are hosted there. And you can see the variety of those events and what it does for our community. Not only what it does for the citizens of our community, but the people that it attracts into our community. And I want to take just a minute and show you what that really looks like. Many places hope for visitor spending, but in Athens-Clarke County, we benefit in three distinctly different ways. Number one, the small graph that you see all the way over to my right represents $68 million. That's all of the SPLOST dollars that has ever gone into the Classic Center. The next tall column that you see is $545 million, and that is the visitor spending that has come into this community directly from that $68 million investment. In addition to that, though, we've done something that few communities can say they've done. We've attracted 14 other hotel developments, all of whom employ people in our community. Those 14 private sector developments have amounted to $216 million. And those developments now pay Athens-Clarke County over $5.1 million each and every year through sales and ad valorem tax. Now, the importance of that is that those dollars can be used by our elected officials each and every year going forward. And so it can, in fact, continue to move our community forward. So at the end of the day, my board takes their mission very seriously, especially that part of maximizing our economic impact. And knowing that we had a SPLOST, they encouraged me to do two studies. The first we did looked at, we know that we had land that was set aside for the Classic Center expansion in the land use plan. And originally we thought that would be an outdoor amphitheater. But after the first study, we realized there was a higher and better use for that property, and that is an arena. That arena will generate jobs, it will bring new economic impact, and it will create a home for the new Georgia Music Hall of Fame. We have so many things that are right in Athens-Clarke County, so many great things in Clarke County. But the one thing that we haven't yet solved is our 35% poverty rate. And it's something that we at the Classic Center take very, very seriously. You see, we've worked for 20 years in this area of workforce development. And so we've created programs like Bread for Life and Hospitality Career Academy. We've served on the Career Academy board. We pioneered the Athens Tech program. And most recently, we forged a partnership with Piedmont College. So people can come into our industry, they can earn a living wage, and they can literally create a career track for themselves and access that education using the Classic Center as a learning lab. And we know that this new arena will help us move that forward. I said we did two studies. The second study took the numbers of events that we looked at from the first study, and they put economic impact numbers to it. CSL is considered to be the gold standard of public buildings. They looked at our data and they came back and said that those events would drive 33 million new dollars in visitor spending for our community. In addition to that, it would create 630 jobs that I would dare say we need the most in this community. And then in addition to that, we would double the number of room nights that the Classic Center is currently generating. It's unbelievable to me that one project could do that. The other great thing I think it does for you is it does have something for everyone. It has something for the arts. It really supports our music scene. It has something for community events, for the family members that we want to bring downtown. We know of the youth sport tournaments, and more importantly, we know each and every convention, and we know the meeting planners by name that can make this become a reality. Not only did we reach out to Live Nation, the international promoters, but we also checked in with our local promoters. And we checked in with each one of them. Scott, the talent buyer for the Georgia Theater, David, the one who teaches the School of Music Business program, and Valina, who's booked the 40 Watt for the last 20 years. Nobody knows the Athens music scene better, and every one of them said, it's time to take Athens to that next level. Location is key with any investment, and here we have location, location, and location. We've long wanted to do a development along the river, and the county owns a good bit of that land. This will link our patrons coming in to that river district, and I'm certain we'll see future development all along the river. But more importantly, it's linked directly to the Classic Center, and through the Classic Center to a magical place we call downtown Athens. And the magic of all of that together is something that you just can't buy. Sure, you could build another arena anywhere, but it wouldn't be as successful as the one that's connected to downtown Athens. At the end of the day, this project is an $88 million project. But more importantly than anything I'm probably going to tell you is today we know the Classic Center Authority has $30 million of private sector money that is ready, willing, and able. And I do have letters of intent, and more than that, I brought some of those players with me tonight to answer any questions that you might have. Which means that we take a third right off the top of this project, which is pretty impressive when you think about what this project can do. So at the end of the day, we know that we have a project that can lift people out of poverty. We know that we can generate new $33 million for Athens-Clarke County. We know that we can create 600 jobs, and we can do all of that without costing anything for the operation of the venue. And I can say that with confidence because for the last 24 years, we've done exactly that with the Classic Center. So at the end of the day, I thank you for what you're doing. I applaud you for being able to look at the vision of where we can take Athens together going forward. And I think it's time we stop waiting to help this poverty initiative, and the time to do that is right now. Thank you very, very much. Ms. Carter.
I want to just clarify something because I think a lot of people don't understand this. Can you explain how many tax dollars it takes every year to operate the Classic Center?
Absolutely none. Zero.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Paul, I was wondering on parking, the design right now is just the parking as it is with that versatile space up on Boundary.
Yeah, what we've done is we've said we've gone, and our authority has actually gone to 2 other venues. And of course, we've looked at thousands. But the trend right now is not to overbuild parking, right? So we would add 300 additional parking spaces here, but the other magic about our site is it's connected to the multimodal. And what that will do for ridership of our bus system, I think is awesome. Right now, we'll do a concert for 2,500 in the pavilion, and it shocks me. None of those students, or attendees, I should call them, they don't drive. They Uber, they walk, but they're not driving. And so whether it's Nashville or Greenville, typically they're adding about 300 parking spaces, and our authority would do that on its own. Carl.
Paul, can you speak to the size of the convention that you have now, that you can accommodate now, and what adding this will do for
Yes, sir. Right now, as a matter of fact, last week we just finished GMEA. It's 3,000 people. 3,000 is kind of the maximum for our center right now, but we know of groups that had been 5,000. The Georgia Baptist Youth Conference, it's called MOVE. They were in Macon, Georgia. Never ever did they go beyond 5,000 attendees. They came to Athens, to our venue, and suddenly jumped up to 7,000 attendees. Now, we had to split their general session between the theater and the grand hall, and it was not good for the overall conference. They want to come back to Athens. FFA started out in our building. They want to come back to Athens. But both of those groups are around 7,000. And not only will we do the conference and conventions, but all the religious conferences, and then all of those sporting tournaments. Those of you that have had children that have been in cheer camp or dance or any of those things, you know how big those things get. They are roughly about 6,000 attendees, because not only does Susie come, but mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, they're all coming, and they're staying for 3 days. And they're filling our hotel rooms, and they're eating in our restaurants, and it would be a phenomenal thing to have right in downtown Athens. Yes, sir.
With the arena, what would be another type of arena to compare to, like the Civic Center Arena in Columbus, Georgia? Would that be something?
Sure. So Macon has an arena. It's old. It's probably outdated. It's about 6,000 seats. Augusta has one that's about that size. Gwinnett has an arena. I want to say there's 12,000 seats, but there's a magic about 6,000 seats. We will pick up 80% of all touring acts in the country. And what the people going to see music now, hear music now, what they want is an intimate space with outstanding acoustics. And it's really about the experience, which puts Athens, Georgia right on the map. I don't know if you noticed it, but Live Nation is the biggest promoter in the world. And they said Athens has long been a place we've sought to bring acts. They just haven't had the right size venue. Now we would. Yes, sir.
How does this compare to the proposal for the amphitheater that's going to go? Is it on
Commerce Highway? Yeah.
Thanks so much for asking that. You know, there's a big difference, and it's hard for people to understand, but an outdoor amphitheater is just that. It's an outdoor venue. And so typically they will do between 20 and 50 events a year. This venue will be full 300 days out of the year, because it has a roof, it's air conditioned. And our vision is not just music. It would be music, it would be dance competition, cheerleading, pickleball, basketball, hockey. It would be all of those things that can be used by this community and will attract new business coming in from outside. So to answer your question, I think the two can live harmoniously together. There'll be times when people want to go to that outdoor amphitheater, and God bless them, they should go. But there'll be a lot of other times when this arena will be full, and I don't think it's in competition with each other. If it were, the Oakview Group, who's maybe the biggest, maybe the second or third biggest promoter that is out there, they're personally willing to put $5 million into this because they know this arena will work. Yes, sir.
What is the average ticket price for an event at the Falcon Center? I know you have a wild diversity of them.
It is so wide, I can't even begin to tell you. We have student hockey available for $2. We have done opera that was, $100. Our Broadway shows are $60. But really, it's not us that set those prices. It has much more to do with the act and the talent and what they want to do. And all we do is facilitate the experience for the end guest. And what we also do is we keep our ticket fees to an absolute minimum. I could have more private sector money coming into this venue if I wanted to, but I won't take it. And the reason I won't take it, if I take those funds, they'll actually want to increase the internet ticket fees. And we know what our market will do. We know what it can bear, and we just don't want to do that. It's not what Athens is.
a quick follow-up, I'm sorry. So what sort of events are available for like $5 and under? Like you mentioned there's something for everyone. And we just have so much that we're talking about.
Hockey, ice skating, I think there would be a lot of our family shows, right? Give them a rundown.
This would be an ability to bring in the family shows that we currently don't do. Something like Marvel Live, the Disney on Ice, and all those shows are known for doing many shows in a few days to be able to drive, young family prices, and really being able to bring lots of folks in, lots of buy one, get one offers, things like that. I don't know if you've seen Mercedes-Benz is about to host monster trucks and motorsports, and every commercial I think is, buy one, get one free right now. Those would be the kinds of events we could actually host in this venue, and that's, they drive the family dollar.
My guess also is a lot of folks will use this venue to make money for their not-for-profits, the same as they do right now. There's so many events, probably 200 events that we host at the Classic Center. They don't do anything else except for raise money for not-for-profits. And it's just a magical night when you see ESP come in with their fundraising event and what can be done in this venue as well for our community. Yes, sir.
Your economic analysis suggests somewhere in the neighborhood of 630 full-time jobs.
Yes, sir.
What kinds of jobs, what sorts of skill sets, how does it impact the community?
Great question. When you develop a public building like this, I mean, just as an example, right now we are 130 employees at the Classic Center. But on top of that, our food service vendor has another 60 employees that every day come to work at the Classic Center. On top of that, we have another 40 employees that are associated with the union, which is really, really important right now. Riggers, stagehands, carpenters, and they're paid really, really well. The problem in Athens is when I have a show is finding qualified riggers that are not working on movies in Atlanta that I can use to actually put the show in. So it would be a diverse mix of those employees. But here's the other great thing, because I wasn't sure I was buying into the 600 employees right from the get-go. But then if you think again about what we've already seen, we've seen 14 hotel properties develop in this community. Every one of those hotels, on average, I would say, probably has 50 or more employees. And so when you do the math of our employees that work right here, plus those employees, plus remember all of the other sectors that none of us want to think about. But there's a linen company that has made a whole lot of money off the Classic Center for years, right? There is a janitorial service company, in fact, 2 of them in Athens. There is a kitchen equipment company and waste companies. I mean, the stories go on and on and on and on.
So a small proportion of this number might be primary employees, and you're estimating secondary and tertiary employees that work for vendors and
whether
providers.
It's for hotels or vendors or restaurants or shops. Yes, sir. That's what they pull all of that together. And I do believe the number. Yes, sir.
As you stand right now today, what's the average cost for someone to host something at the Classic Center? And with this new addition, how much more would it be of an increase for someone to host something there?
Yeah, typically at the Classic Center, one room might rent for $200, or you could have a convention for 3 days and it might be $30,000, which sounds like a lot of money till you do the math, because there's 3,000 of them and they're in there for 3 consecutive days. So it really depends on what they want and how it would price out at the end of the day. Everything in our public building is built, right? So you start with just a framework of a room, and then we've got to build the stage, build the lighting, build whatever. But I'll tell you this, if our rates were not exceedingly competitive, we would not be doing 700 events a year. Price Waterhouse does a study of every one of these buildings all across the country, and the average, whether they're big, small, medium, the average number of events that they do is 300 events a year. We're currently doing almost 700 events at the Classic Center. And it's going really, really well.
And would you need to do any more, upgrades or anything in the future if this get approved?
The best part of this is I'm here today to promise you the same thing that I've delivered for the last 25 years. If this project does get approved, we're talking about zero operating cost. Zero operating cost, and right now, all of the capital upkeep for the building, we pay for, all of it.
Can I ask one more question since we had a schedule?
Yes.
So, as far as your donors go, so I know you mentioned the commitment, so 100% of the 26 million is people are ready to write checks for, or?
It 100% of the 30 million that's coming from the private sector, yes ma'am, they're ready to write checks for.
And I guess follow-up, what is the Classic Center Authority's long-term debt? What, do you have long-term debt presently?
We don't. We took out, our first debt was on the parking deck. Subsequent to that, we did take out some to do the what we call a mini arena inside of my exhibit hall. So I do have some debt on that. The debt for the parking has since been paid off, and currently that is the only debt that we have. And I'll tell you, we're meeting that debt obligation easily with the business plan that we put together for that. Thank you again, and thank you for what all of you are doing. Really appreciate it.